People often ask me, what do people actually use Equity Release for? So I thought I'd give some examples of what we have currently. Gifting is probably one of the biggest ones. People helping out their children or grandchildren onto the property ladder. Parents or grandparents are saying, well, rather than wait until I'm no longer here to get your inheritance, give you some of it now, just to help you along the way. One of the things we do look at is the fairness of it. We always look at, are there other children involved or grandchildren? Because again, gifting to one without the others will affect the other person's inheritance. So it's again that fairness to it. But also we look at how that will affect the actual person themselves. So if someone gifts too much money, will that adversely affect their needs in the future? Other things we have at the moment, home improvements. Home improvements is quite a big one, and that's where people either want to make the house nicer, so it could be a case of, we just want to put a new conservatory on, or it could be that their needs have changed, and rather than move house to an area they don't want to live in, it's actually making the house more usable for them. So it could be something like putting in a walk-in bath. We can use the property to fund that, and the good thing is it means the person doesn't have to move. They can stay in their own home, it just works better for them. Other ones we have at the moment, especially from in the finance side of it, is people that are coming off of interest-only mortgages. Over the next few years, there are several 100,000 of these mortgages finishing, and people have no means of actually paying them back. So for a lot of these people, they're still working, they're still able to maintain payments, but they don't meet standard lenders' criteria anymore. What we look at is actually using Equity Release to do that. So these people can make payments as normal, but because it's not credit checked or credit scored in the same way as a standard mortgage would be, it's based purely on the equity. So if there's sufficient equity, they borrow the money, repay the existing mortgage, but then they maintain payments themselves. So we've created a standard mortgage in effect, but using Equity Release to do so. Another one we get quite a lot of is people actually moving home. For some reason, everyone always thinks of Equity Release as taking money out of your existing property. I suppose in some ways the term itself, Equity Release, sort of implies that. But it isn't. There's no reason why we can't use it as a purchase. It's just a mortgage at the end of the day. Income's a big one as well at the moment, especially with the cost of living increasing, and people, their incomes aren't really keeping pace with it. And so people are struggling. And we've had people that have either just retired and had all these plans of what they wanted to do, and suddenly the money isn't there to do so. Or they're just literally struggling with what they do. What we can look for them is what's called a drawdown facility. They don't need a big lump of money. There's no need to borrow a big lump of money. All they need is something that tops up their income. So it could be an extra £10,000 a year or something like that. So we use what's called a drawdown. It's like an overdraft. We set the facility up, but they draw the money as they need it. There's no set amount that they want, it just works around what they need. And then importantly, they only pay interest on the amount as they borrow it, not the facility itself. We use that side of it as well, especially with things like care fees. A lot of people are in a position where they're needing now care, but rather than going to some kind of home or something like that, they can actually have care at their own home, be it carers coming in, sometimes overnight. And again, it costs. They're really the main ones, but there are lots and lots of different reasons that we can use Equity Release. And in most cases, people actually use a combination. There's never one specific reason. It tends to be 1, 2, 3 or 4 different reasons. And again, we just arrange it around it. So sometimes it could be you have a lump sum and a drawdown if it works. Importantly, we gauge what the client needs, and that's what the advice is for. And that is always the importance of getting correct advice for what you need.